Azur Lane is an incredibly popular horizontal side-scrolling action shooter, released in China and Japan in 2017, Korea in 2018, and further worldwide in 2019. Since its release, it has gone on to captivate and drain the wallets of men of culture all around the globe, and for good reason. Not only is this game one of the highest quality gacha games currently available, but it's got a very fair gacha system in place that doesn't require exorbitant amounts of spending and rewards players the waifus that they want merely by playing the game, something that not many gacha games are capable of claiming they do. And if they did, they'd be lying. But how popular is it? Has the game been growing, or is the game in a perpetual state of decline since its release several years ago? That's what we're here today to take a look at, to see how Azur Lane is currently doing in 2023 as part of my new Gacha in 2023 video series. You can find other episodes in this series either at the end of this video or by clicking that link in the description or the pinned comment below. That way you can find out how your favorite games are holding up. Before we take a look at Azur Lane though, I do want to thank every one of our patrons over on Patreon. You guys allow for me to keep pushing out video after video like this, and I deeply appreciate all of your guys' support. Also, if you have a moment, consider following me over on Twitch. I stream there every weekend. Now, let me preface this by stating that Chinese earnings are not very easily accessible for this game specifically. I have roughly half of 2022 covered, but it does not encapsulate the entire year, which is why I will include it separately to the global earnings. Azur Lane launched within China in May 2017 and Japan in September 2017. Over the course of its first year online, it went on to earn $170 million within Japan and China, $24 million of which was earned through China, and $146 million via Japan. The game managed just shy of 4 million downloads over its first year and was averaging roughly $6 to $7 million per month. But this is supposed to concern 2023, and the best way to look at the game is how it has evolved over the course of the last 12 months, as opposed to the first 12 months of the game being online. Because we all know the longer a game is online, the less money it earns, and the less players actively play it. Beginning with January 2022, January had 3 separate events that ran from the 13th, the Spring Festival Special Training, and the 27th, Happy Lunar New Year 2022 and Joint Battle Mystery Investigation. Globally, Azur Lane saw 122,000 new players and $6.6 million. February 2022 saw 8 different events. February 10th began the Northern Overture and Call to Arms Northern Front reruns, the Lantern Festival and Manju Manufactory rerun. February 17th began the Darkness Within Dawn, Call to Arms Northern Parliament, and PR Catch-Up Seattle events. And finally, February 24th began the Abyssal Refrain. Globally, Azur Lane saw 110,000 new players and $4.5 million, a very noticeable decline from January. March 2022 saw a reduction in active events. March 10th had the counterattack within the Fjord rerun, and the 24th saw the Virtual Tower event. Globally, Azur Lane saw 112,000 new players and $3 million, a very steep decline from February and more than half of January. April 2022 saw more events than any other month yet. The Band of the Bulin began on April 1st, an April Fool's event. Reruns of Aurora Noctis, Nocturne Before Nightfall, and Little Royal Night on April 14th. April 21st had the Call to Arms, Iron Blood, and PR Catch-Up Odin events. And finally, the Rondo at Rainbow's End, Sugary Sweet Kasekachen, I have no idea how to pronounce that word, it's German, I'm assuming, and Tales from the Count's Castle events on April 28th. Globally, Azur Lane saw 122,000 new players and $2.9 million. Within China, the game managed to make $3.9 million. May 2022 saw 6 events, beginning with the Wallflower in the Corner rerun on May 13th, Call to Arms Royal Navy, PR Catch-Up Drake, and Letters and Travels on May 19th, and the Chinese 5th anniversary pledge of the Radiant Court and a cookie for Mew. The 5th anniversary should have been a substantial increase in spending, but globally, Azur Lane saw 125,000 new players and $4.5 million. A fair increase over previous months. Within China, for the anniversary month, the game made $12.6 million June 2022 saw 5 events, beginning with Splendorous debut on June 1st, Special Support Plan Augment modules on June 9th, a rerun of Sundered Blue on June 16th, along with Commission Exchange Plan, and finally Angel of the Iris on June 30th. Globally, Azure Lane saw 125,000 new players and $6.5 million, almost their global peak across the entire year up until this point. Carrying over the anniversary event in China, we saw $9 million earned. Both May and June were quite beneficial months for every region of the game. July 22 saw 7 events, beginning with reruns of Dreamwaker's Butterfly and Dreams of the Beginning on July 14th, Call to Arms, Sardegna, Empire, Splendorous Invitation, and PR Catch-Up mains on July 21st, and ending with Aquilifer's Ballad and a text from Taiho on July 28th. Globally, Azure Lane saw 105,000 new players and $4.5 million, a decline from June admittedly. Earnings also declined within China, dropping to $4.8 million, but that was to be expected. August 2022 saw a total of 3 events, beginning with a rerun of Lights of Circle City on August 11th, along with Operation Convergence and Charge My Trusty Steeds on August 17th. And I don't actually think they're referring to the waifus themselves here. You know what? There are no doubt countless waifus in this game. Ship waifus specifically that would be kind of fun to I digress. Globally, Azure Lane saw 75,000 new players and $4.1 million, down from July. China was also down with $3.2 million earned, continuing to be outperformed by global. September 2022 saw way too many events, 13 in total, beginning with Manju Fast Food and a rerun of Dreams of Love and Peace on September 1st. This was actually a collab that they did with KFC. September 8th saw a rerun of Fluttering Fanfare, along with PR Catch-Up Cheshire, Call to Arms Sakura Empire, and Tranquil Sea Distant Thunder. September 15th saw Violet Tempest, Blooming Licorice, Rapid Training Campaign, and Manju Campus, along with the Japanese 5th anniversary. A rerun of Poor Eating Contest was also released on September 15th, followed by a Magnificent Banquet on the September 22nd, and finally a rerun of the Manju Grand Prix and Akashi's Gratitude Gear Support on September 29th. You know what? I will give them credit. You never run out of things to do in this game. Globally, Azure Lane saw 99,000 new players and $7.7 million, an increase over every other month so far in 2022. Interestingly, within China, the game also saw an increase up to $9.1 million. October 2022 saw a mere 4 events, significantly down from September, beginning with Rising of the Ship Heroes and the Pursuit of Little Spee on October 13th, followed by Fight On Royal Maids Part 3 and Halloween Hijinks on October 27th. Globally, Azure Lane saw 86,000 new players and $4.4 million, down from previous months, but still not the lowest it's been. China's earnings also dipped as well, down to $4.1 million. November 2022 saw 5 events, beginning with reruns of Inverted Orthent and Combat Preparation Iron Blood on November 10th, and introducing Rapid Training Campaign the same day, followed by a rerun of Akashi's Fanbook on November 17th and Black Friday Akashi's Fire Sale. Globally, Azure Lane saw 98,000 new players and $4.5 million, up from October. China saw $3.9 million earned, which is the second lowest it had actually been all year. December 2022 was definitely an interesting one. We saw 6 events, beginning on December 15th with a rerun of Manju Curling, Call to Arms, Sea of Stars, Casualty Transportation, and PR Catch-Up Champagne, followed by Parallel Superimposition and Vacation Resort on December 22nd as part of the New Year 2022 event, and finally, Let Life Set Sail Again on December 29th. Globally, Azure Lane saw 120,000 new players and $9 million, the highest point all year the game had been globally. And China saw an overwhelming $17.2 million in earnings, totaling $26.2 million for the month of December 2022. This was a gargantuan increase in total earnings in December, which is not only a testament to how well the game is doing, how well the game is perceived, but how much the game is still continuing to grow in size. If December 2022 can more than quadruple the same point in 2021, Azur Lane is in a very healthy state. Its continued 100 to 130,000 new players and rapid event releases continue to keep it a very relevant title, more so than almost any other gacha game out there. Earnings and new players have been very stable throughout the entirety of 2022, with sizable increases periodically, and it shows absolutely no signs of slowing down in 2023. So, if you've been putting off playing Azur Lane, this is your chance to try the game out. If Azur Lane isn't your thing though, don't worry, I got you covered with 2 different videos on screen right now. One featuring a list of every confirmed gacha game releasing in February 2023, and the other featuring a list of other gacha games that I've covered in my Gacha in 2023 series.